Hello, Rising Phoenix, peace and love. I hope that you are healthy, happy, and in good spirits. So, today I'm going to talk about the movie Is God Is. When I first saw the trailer, I couldn't wait to see it. And I'm not a moviegoer. I'm not a person who likes a lot of movies. A lot of them are predictable. But if it's something that's like seems metaphysical or something that's going to make me think psychologically, I like psychological thrillers, stuff like that. So, I'm going to talk about the movie, some of the key takeaways, and the spiritual messages that I got in this movie. I'm going to tell you about what I liked about the movie, and we're going to have some deep discussions in what can we learn from this movie as a healing community about the choices that we make after trauma. I want to thank you for being here. I am Coach Latasha, Self Revival and Master Spirit Coach. I empower survivors of domestic abuse and sex trauma by teaching you how to get out of survival mode and step into a fulfilled, sovereign life with confidence and authority. So, Is God Is. First of all, I'm gonna say overall, I like the movie. If I had to scale it, if I had to rate it on a scale of 10, I'd give about a 7.5. About a 7.5. I enjoyed it overall. I feel like it wasn't a waste of time. I was thoroughly entertained. When I watch movies, I like to have on two sets of eyes, my physical eyes and my spiritual eyes. Both sets of eyes were definitely entertained and fed. And overall, I love the banter of the movie. I love like some of the culture. It was funny, being that the topic is so heavy. I really did appreciate some of the laughter when I was able to sort of take a break and pause because that movie was triggering. There were times when that movie was very difficult for me to watch. There was times when I had flashbacks myself with this movie, and it's very emotional. It's very triggering, and it's something that we can learn from. It's something that on screen it could get the discussion going about where our choices lead. And so, what I got, one of the main messages that I got within the first 5 minutes of the movie, if that, was that this was definitely going to be a movie about generational trauma. And I could automatically see the movie making us see the roles that we each play in generational curses or generational trauma. For instance, when the movie opened with Racine protecting her sister, and you really can't tell. You really don't know because they show their backs, but you can pretty much guess, okay? So I'm going to put that out there. I like how they did that. So it's sort of a question, but from what I would guess that Racine was the one from day one starting off violent tendencies, fighting, being like, no, F that. I'm going to inflict pain. So you can see the characteristics that each twin had, and you can see the roles that they played. Like Anaya, she was definitely a fixer, a seer, and she had some emotional imbalance just because she felt insecure about herself. She didn't feel beautiful, she didn't feel accepted, and she also didn't have the characteristics, the behaviors of the people of those around her, like her mother, the violent tendencies of her father, and her twin Racine. She was different. She was calmer. She thought things out. She thought about every party in the situation. So when you look at that, when you look at the roles they played, especially when they introduced, oh, that was such, I loved seeing Vivica A. Fox, another side, no, honey. I might get a little chatty with this. So just allow me to take my time with this and talk about it because I enjoyed it. I enjoy seeing Vivica A. Fox. I like Vivica A. Fox. People can say what they want to about Vivica A. Fox. She lives life on her terms. I might not agree with everything that she's done, but overall, I appreciate her, what she's done, her contribution to the arts community. And I just love seeing her on screen. I just love seeing her on screen. What is her name? Alexander is her name? Erica Alexander. I love seeing her. She looked good. Okay. I love that the movie was set in the South. I love seeing who else? Just the whole cast. I love seeing the whole cast. The cast was good, but you can just see how each character, as they were introduced, the role that they played, the role that they played and how the role that they played contributes to the continuation of the trauma cycle, and why it could be so difficult to get out the trauma cycle, and why so many other people choose or seem to can't get out of that cycle and lets it consume them, lets it make them turn a blind eye to certain things. That movie was deep with the trauma. And I couldn't decide if I liked, sometimes I felt like the way that they approached the subject when they really wanted you to see the point that they were making was a bit elementary at times. But at times I thought about it and I was like, okay, no, this is what they're putting in our face. They really want us to be like, look, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing as a Black community. This is how trauma is continuing. And I think it just was I think it was making a bold statement. And I like how it went about it. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I wanted to see the characters talk and play a little bit more. But what we can learn about trauma from that movie and individual choices from that movie is very powerful. So I find it very interesting, the duality, the almost direct opposite of the twins. And I love their chemistry. The twins had great chemistry. I did love the girls. I want to take this question and I want us to look at this in the 3D and the 5D and all the other dimensions, honey. I really want us to take this and look at this physically in our human current lives right now and look at this spiritually. Is it right or wrong when a survivor wants street justice? I really had to think about this. This movie was very triggering to me. Is there a right or wrong? Because to me, as a spiritualist, as a person who is very in tune with the other side, from my perception of the other side, honey, it's like more about frequency, and it's about a do you. It's about you have a freedom of choice, almost without judgment, without a guilt or shame. Like energies who people would consider dark, those entities are doing what they do with zero fucks, okay? Just getting by doing them, and they are content with it. But the same things that you think of spiritually, are these the same things and principles that we can get away with our human body? Is there a right or wrong? When it comes to the spirit world, I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think it's just frequency and what you attract with the frequency that you put out. That's what I think it is. So when you think about this, and this is a real question for survivors, I have felt this, okay? I'm not going to tell too much of my story on screen because I'm not going to put myself in a pickle by telling too much information. But when I tell you, I have felt the rage and the anger of wanting to get back. And honestly, I am a person now, 9 times out of 10, I am very calm. But there is a side of me, honey. There is a beast to me that when the right buttons are pushed, okay, when those certain triggers are pushed, I become someone completely different and unrecognizable when it comes to certain things. So there's a side of me that's the beast that I have to maintain. Also with that, trauma feeds that. That's another thing about that movie, the movie was talking about. Trauma feeds anger. And you have to know what to do with anger. So much anger went unchecked by both the father and Racine. Just acceptable behavior. And I really want to know a lot about the mother, being that she even asked the twins to do that. How could a mother ask her children to do that? We'll get into that a little bit later. But a lot of survivors have felt that anger and maybe have even gotten to a point of feeling so helpless, so angry, so enraged, so like you're backed into a corner that you have to do something to them. Shows like Snapped. Now I'm a person for the right situation. I ain't a killer, but don't mess around with my children. I don't have any kids, but I would imagine, knowing me and my temper, mess around with my children. We getting some street justice. If it's taking too long going the right way and I ain't getting no street justice, somebody will be touched on some level. Now that's the side of me. But do you get what I'm saying? I'm posing the question here. Is it okay for her to feel that rage? Ruby, the mother, to feel that rage so much so that she asked her daughters to commit a crime like that. What does that say about her as a mother? Can we assume, what can we assume about Ruby, about the mother? Can we assume that she was male-centered, manipulative, that she was a finesser? There were so many more things that I wanted to know about Ruby, and I wish we would have saw a little bit more about that character. But at what point does the anger in the street justice mentality consume you? Now, I hated the ending to this movie. First of all, I wanted to know more about the mother. Like, okay, I know that she was already on her deathbed, so okay, maybe I was supposed to just assume that she passed, but I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to learn a little bit more about the circumstances surrounding it, or, maybe what would have happened if she got the news of what happened to her kids. I really disliked that ending because, number one, it was so traumatizing. Okay, it was so traumatizing to me, but I think that was another bold choice for them to say, look, this is what happens. This is what happens when anger, when generational trauma goes unchecked and the cycle continues. The father ends up taking the daughter that is most like him. And this movie was such a reminder. It reminded me of so many different stories that I've heard, and different types of survivors, and my own story, the generational trauma in my family. So if we go back to that mindset of frequencies, yeah, you got the freedom, the free will to do what you want to do. But what are you going to attract back? Does operating in anger inevitably leads you towards destruction? And when you choose healing, when you choose to put energy into yourself, into your wellness, instead of vengeance on someone else, does it lead you down a different path? And which path do you prefer? Which path do you choose? Because each path has its own set of struggles, consequences, roadblocks. Taking the angry route, you might get some temporary wins, temporary fixes for yourself, for your emotions, but long term, it's a personal choice. What do you prefer? Oh, and I just love that this movie was like based in the South, in Virginia. This movie was set in Virginia. I just love like the Southern drawl, the Southern twang, like some of those things. Like one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when they was at that church and they rolled up and it was a purple door, honey. And for those who may or may not know, this is something that you may commonly see in the South. I don't know if you see it up north or other places quite so much. But for me, I've traveled quite a few places in my life. And this is something that I see a lot more in the South. And that's that purple door. That's that purple door representing a witch, someone who identifies as a witch or a spiritual worker of some kind. So I just love seeing that. That tripped me out. But did you see the role that she played? Did you see all the different women that their father affected, from their mother who he burned, to him moving on like nothing happened, to that lady in her crazy cult-like church with her whole altar dedicated to him, honey. Wait for him to come back years later, okay? Look at the different ways that trauma affects people as they accept their role, as they accept that part, as they make that choice to either stay blind, heal, or not heal. I don't know if she was like like a spiritual psychosis, honey, but that was a lot. That was a lot. The different paths of trauma. Stayed stuck, stagnant, sitting there waiting on the same man over 20-some years. Then the twins traveled to the next woman, the current woman, who's sitting there taking the abuse, living a luxurious life, as he hides and lies and disguises his life to try to make it fit the narrative he wants to sell to everybody. And another woman, abused. The girls come along, instead of being more concerned about their safety, she's more concerned if they're posing a threat to her financial access. She's getting the short end of the stick. She got to get something out the deal. May as well be the money. Another mindset another level of blindness that goes on in the Black community, in our families, in everybody's families. But this is something that deeply affects us because there is this, don't speak on it. Don't speak on what goes on in our house. There is this, you don't need to talk to anybody about it. It's these accepted roles that keep going on for generations and generations. And then when you get to the brothers, the movie got really weird when they introduced the twin brothers. It got really weird for me. I was about to be like, let me wait this out and see where they're trying to go with it. The father had another set of twins, so evidently it's in his bloodline for twins. He had a set of twin boys. Same dynamic going on with the twin boys. One's more, I guess, calm nature, so you think. Moore's one calm natured most of the time, I guess I'm going to say, and the other one's more of a hothead. Sort of the same dynamic. Unchecked trauma reproduces more trauma. It got weird when them twin boys got introduced, but a lot of people were very content and selfish in their roles as long as they were getting access to what they wanted to. A lot of brainwashing and manipulation going on. And this movie so vividly put these things in our face for us to ask these questions, for us to look at these dynamics within our own lives and within our own families. I'm at a point in my life to where I have been doing a lot of work on recognizing and changing my identity. Number one, how I feel about myself. And number two, what is the role that I've played in my family? What's the dynamic that I've played? And how I'm tired and I'm getting away from it. And the path of freedom, the path of peace is worthwhile to me. So I think this movie is also asking the question, who and what is your God? What does God mean to you? Is the woman God? Is the Black woman God? Or who is God? Who is your God? What does God mean to you? Is there even a God? I don't recall Anaya ever referring to her mother as God, but Racine, just the simple fact that she referred to her mother as God just made me think that, oh, okay, they're being bold here, because that's something that just gets people stirred up right there. They're being bold, and I think that they're asking, who is God? Who is God to you? Is there a God? Does a God even allow these type things to happen to anybody? Another dope discussion. So many dope discussions that you can have with this movie, and I hope that we use that not just for entertainment value, but for conversation, reflection, and change. So I really want to know your thoughts. What did you think? What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy the movie? And let me know, what side are you going on? Are you on the side of getting that street justice, that vengeance? Are you going to walk the path of healing? Also, what type of patterns, roles, generational traumas exist in your life, in your family, and your relationship dynamics? And what do you plan on doing about them if there's something that needs to change? Because as the movie stated, it seems like the majority just went on and let whatever their problem was consume them. Let their anger consume them. Let their abusive relationship, their pain, physical, mental, and spiritual pain consume them. What choice are you going to make? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I will talk to you soon. Love you, fam.